Colegio Bolivar, CALI, Colombia. ConociéndoME, Sex Education Program, Public School Children. Annika will talk about the background information regarding the project's problematic.
GIN is an elective class that allows people to see the world as it truly is, with many problems that need to be solved. GIN gives us an opportunity to make our world a better place, but that opportunity is not granted to everyone. I remember when I first started GIN, my peers and I were discussing how we can help our community to be a better place, how we can solve the problems in our country and in our city. As part of a class assignment, we had to bring news that was currently happening here in Colombia. After listening to all the news, we realized that almost everyone chose a news that involved kids in a state of vulnerability, especially problems such as child trafficking, where kids are treated like slaves and are sold like if they were some worthless piece of nothing. People who tend to buy these kids hardly ever have good intentions to help or save them. They sexually abuse them and cause these kids who have done nothing wrong to have nightmares, anxiety, and depression. Child prostitution, where people corrupt innocent children and force them to be something that they are not. This tends to lead to sexually transmitted disease of children and young people, such as herpes and STD. If not, then they are faced with an early pregnancy. Early pregnancy can lead to abortions, meaning you're not even giving this person a chance to live. These crimes do not just happen in the country of Colombia. They happen all around the world, in every country and city. Kids in primary public schools need to know about the importance of experiencing a sexual education because that is how they can understand and appreciate how life works in a human body. Sexual education is not like any other class, such as history or math. Sexual education has to do with recognizing your feelings and your body. Our body nourishes our everyday experience. It's a space where we can experience and express our feelings and emotions. It's important to know that as humans, we can understand and analyze and take care of our bodies as part of our integral development of our citizenship and our relationships. Sexual education involves both knowledge for the prevention of an unwanted pregnancy, sexually transmitted infections, and as a feeling form, positive values and attitudes towards sexuality. As a sexual education offers adequate and truthful information about vital aspects based on sexuality as a form of relationship between people so as to orientate and also access to public health resources that will allow one to live a sexual life in a healthy and responsible way. In the end, we decided that we wanted to head towards education for all and conflict prevention. We knew that we wanted to work with kids because they are our future.
Juliana will talk about the general information of the project.
So, what are we doing? We want to teach kids the impact of having a healthy relationship, the difference between gender equity and equality, explaining that simple concept like saying girls cook and boys work just to enforce gender role stereotypes. Finally, we want them to know their true self. Therefore, the name of our project, ConociéndoMe. Our purpose or general goal would be to strengthen the ties between participants and let them know the importance of having a healthy relationship established throughout life. Therefore, showing them the impact that it may cause helping reduce violence of any kind, either sexual, child abuse, bullying, or from a partner. To choose our topic, we had to first expand our knowledge on it. We did a few activities such as researching information, having a meeting with the school's counselor, and a meeting with a psychologist with a specialization in sexual education. They helped us better understand the topic and gave us kids tips on how to carry out the project, since we were dealing with kids that come from harsh backgrounds. It had to be done in such a way that they would understand it and feel comfortable with it. The counselors helped us develop activities in which the kids would feel support and at the same time learn about a healthy sexuality. Even though our initial thought was to do these activities at Colegio Bolivar, we changed our minds. The institution of Pio XII Ponce came to our minds since the Bolivar community had already worked with them. Pio XII Ponce School is located in La Vorágine, Colombia. Classes take place in an abandoned church, where all courses are separated by small divisions, and the sound is everywhere. There are only 2 teachers to teach 60 students. They have to teach math, art, science, technology, PE, absolutely everything. And as if this wasn't enough, they are in charge of more than one grade level. One teacher teaches first and second, while the other teaches third, fourth, and fifth. This reality is completely different to ours. We have lots and lots of classes, many teachers, and a huge campus to do activities. By recognizing all the tools that have been given to us, we came to the realization that helping kids in other communities would have a bigger impact. Another reason is that they are part of our territorial community, Pance. And as the saying says, or at least in Spanish, if you want to make a change, start by doing so at home. Students at Pilos de Pance have all types of stories to tell. Besides the sentimental reasons why we chose them, there are also a few facts that helped us decide. Currently, Pance's population is represented by children and teenagers in a 46%. 269 attend school, but as they increase in age and in grade level, so does the amount of dropouts. This may lead to some serious consequences, such as low perception against risks that were produced because of violence, drugs, and sexual education, limited opportunities to receive and take advantage of an educational, work, or sports-related offer, weak participation from the people in the community for the exercise of citizen rights, fragile structure, function, and responsibility in family dynamics. This is why we plan to successfully serve 30 kids from ages 8 through 11 by guiding 8 sessions throughout the second semester using our investigation, ludic strategies, and counseling methods to accomplish our goal of effectively teaching students from Pilosa School in Pance community what a healthy relationship is and the impact it may cause in their lives.
Gabriela will talk about the workshops that have already been completed.
Before we went to the Pio12 school, we came up with some activities that we would implement in our visits so we could have an idea of who these kids were and get to know them. In our first visit, we started with an icebreaker where kids had to do a circle with us and we had to sing. And at my right side there was this boy, Breder, and he was a really shy boy, but he was sweet with me. And I remember he's a 5th grader. And I remember the first thing he said was, I know this song. So I encouraged him to go dance. And at the end of it, I had to dance with him. But after that, he was always at my side. And he was like my first friend in there. Okay. After that activity, we had snack time. And most of the kids were like really eager to have food. But when finally they got it, the first thing they did was to divide it and save that half for their family members. That was something that that surprised me because I have to admit I'm really like, I don't like to share my food with anyone. So that surprised me a lot. After snack time, we made this collage where kids had to say things they liked and things they disliked. And at my table, there was this 5th grader. His name is Julian. And when I was watching his work, actually, when I was watching everyone's work, I realized that we have so many things in common. And that the only thing that was different between us was monetary resources. Because, okay, technology, I love technology. I can't live without my cell phone. And Netflix, I can't live without Netflix. And also, he had the idea to have a tattoo. I also want a tattoo. He's Colombian, of course I'm Colombian. And I hate school. But I hate school. And he was also bothering me because he said that, oh, you're rich. And I was like, no, I'm not rich. And at the end of that day, he came up to me and he said, look, even though you're rich, take. And he gave me a candy and a yogurt and then started running to his house. And I think that was really sweet. In our second visit, the first thing we got was hugs. Lots and lots of hugs. They were jumping in our arms and they had these big smiles in their faces. We were so happy that we were in there. And that made us happy too. So we made a dramatization where boys had to act like girls and girls had to act like boys. And there we noticed some stereotypes that we didn't like so much because, for example, boys, they would like walk as if they were in a pasarela. They would be like really exaggerated. And when girls acted like boys, they would say ugly things, they would treat badly girls. And so that made an impact on us. After that, we made a Venn diagram where kids had to say the things that boys and girls have in common and the things that they are different. And well, we noticed that everything they said were ugly things. They had like this really bad idea of them that like if they thought they were bad kids when they are good kids. They are lovely kids, they are always smiling and are eager to learn. So that impacted us. At the end of that day, I remember this girl, Camila, she like stood up in front of everyone and she said, "Thank you so much for being here with us, for taking a little bit of your time to be with us. Thank you for remembering us." Because in some kind of way, she feels like we forget about them. That's not good. In our third visit, we divided kids into groups and two partners made a PowerPoint where they asked the kids things like, what do you think are women good for? And that was something that impacted us because they said that women were only good for cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids. And that was sad because that's something they have to live. They live with that every day. So they didn't even say it joking, they were real. And I don't know, they are really good, lovely kids. They accepted us, they told us their stories, and even though most of them don't have like the perfect life, they always strive to keep a smile on their faces. And that's something I always cherish because sometimes a smile is all you need at the end of the day.
Laura will talk about the future workshops.
We still have visits to pay to Escuela Pío XII over the course of the semester. The future workshops look forward to leaving an impact on the community, a goal we have established as a group since the start. Our methodology is not based on the cognitive learning but on the emotional learning. This has been proven to be more effective on the kids in this community. We don't really want them to blurt out the definitions of equity or equality like robots but not really feeling it. This is focused on learning through their values, emotions, and principles, making them feel it and therefore learning it by living it. This project is founded on two values which we consider essential: freedom and respect. The first value, freedom, is about the liberation from the stereotypes and paradigms, as well as freedom to gender identity, embracing the gender orientation and possibilities. Our sessions will go with the reconciliation of gender identity. Our second value, respect, since it is essential for every aspect of one's life, as well as on interpersonal relationships. Respect is essential for the building of a healthy lifestyle as well as community. But we thought, the first of all, you have to be able to respect yourself, then respect someone else. Hand in hand with respect for yourself comes self-esteem, since it is the perspective and worth we have towards ourselves. Since we start by respecting ourselves, it's also about respecting others, which by doing so encompasses other values, builds community, and embraces freedom. After our first 4 sessions we have successfully completed, we have been able to establish a positive communicative relationships between us and the students as well as the teacher at Escuela Pío XII. This has given us a deeper perspective on the sexuality problematic that affects this community, since to be able to address a problem you have to do research on it as well as on the population it affects. The communication and expression activities we have done with the kids have given us an insight on how the lack of sexual education has affected this community specifically. We identified that the representations that they have about gender, women, and men represent a cultural image where there's a lot of male chauvinism. Since this project is ongoing, we plan future activities based on what we have learned from the needs of this community. We will work with a broader perspective as well, since the change we have to create does not depend solely on the students. There's also a teacher and parent compromise in order for it to be completely effective. To extend the reach of this project, we plan to, over the course of the semester, have the counselors give a workshop with parents, since sexual education has a great foundation and importance at home, and have the psychologists specialized in sexual education that we have been working for to develop the project further instruct the teacher at Escuela Pío XII on sexual education and methodology.
Emma will reflect upon the outcome of the project.
When you start planning a project, you begin to plan ahead and organize everything in your mind. But when working with human beings, especially kids, you need to have an open mind and you need to be able to improvise at any moment. This project has impacted us, GIN 9th grade students, in many ways. My school bus was recently changed to an old one that does not have AC. I live in the north of Cali, which is about an hour and 30 minutes away from Colegio Bolivar. When I found out that my bus didn't have AC, I began to complain with everyone. As soon as I got to Pío XII, I realized that more than 70% of the students in that school go home walking, and some even have to walk 2 hours to get home. More than 90% of Colegio Bolivar students have a person to help clean or cook or take care of themselves at their house. I think everyone who has this help has gotten angry with this person because they either cooked the food you didn't like or they moved your stuff from where it was just to clean your room. Sometimes when I'm hungry and need food, I just scream the name of my maid to get me food, and sometimes I don't even say please or thank you. As soon as I got to Pío XII, we asked the kids who did their lunch, and about 70% of the kids do their lunch, if they have the resources to do it. This has made me realize how lucky I am and how ungrateful I can be. This project has showed me a different perspective of life and has helped me realize that life is seen every day from different perspectives. One of the problems Pío XII students have is loneliness. Most of the times, children tend to feel lonely. When you have a low standard of life, you have to work every day to make enough to eat, so you cannot spend so much time with your children. Since they live in a rural area, most of their parents go to Cali from Monday to Friday or even Saturdays to work. Most of Pío XII students only see their parents in the night or on Sunday, and their only distraction is school, which only lasts 4 hours. Due to this, they spend hours alone. After the second activity, an 11-year-old girl called Camila stood up and shared some words with us. She expressed how grateful she was with us. She thanked us for acknowledging them and for playing with them and for taking care of them. When we go to Pío XII, we teach them by using creative activities such as singing, dancing, painting, acting to carry out the message we want to share. I believe that the message we are sending to these kids will help them in the future, will improve their standard of life, and it will teach them how to have a healthy relationship in the future.
Thank you for watching, and remember, the first step to helping others is knowing yourself.